The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we educate, empower, and entertain. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, download, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here Erin Harrigan, and she is a Christian wife, an empty nester, yay for her. She's a speaker, an author, and a business coach, and we're not going to leave out that she loves tacos. It's a very important part of her, and we're mentioning it.
That it is.
Hi, Erin. Welcome to The Unfiltered.
Oh, Jade, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, today we're going to speak about redefining hustling.
That's correct.
Right. Normally, when people hear about hustling, it's not normally used in a positive light. So you're going to redefine that for us.
Yes.
So let's understand what this can be. This can be positive.
That's correct.
Yes. So, I want you first off to start off with telling us, what does the term hustling mean? And how has it been traditionally perceived?
Well, as I was learning how to do business God's way, and he gave me this idea of redefining hustle, he had me do some research. And so the word hustle, according to wordhippo.com, is most often defined as forcing or pushing one's way, pressuring someone into doing something, a state of great activity that is often disorderly, disorganized, frantic, or showy. And what's fascinating is that the actual first definition in the dictionary is that hustle is a state of great activity and with intention and purpose. I've often heard people say, "Oh, I thought that hustle meant that I stick to it until I get it done," and that is true. Except that those earlier definitions are really what the world has latched onto and has permeated the business world. It's what we've been taught. It's what people say when they say things like hustle until your haters ask if you're hiring. Right? And so it tends to get, I believe, a very negative connotation. And yes, I have issue with that as a high achiever because I like the hustle, but I don't like the way it sounds so pushy and forceful.
Yes, understood. Understood quite well. How can we shift the focus, though, from solely achieving material success to also valuing personal growth and the fulfillment in our definitions of hustling?
My first answer is to really think about when you are in the hustle. Do you feel like you are in the grind and that it's taking a toll on you and that it leaves you burned out? Or do you feel like you're working within what we would call your zone of genius and you find joy in the work that you're doing and time passes and you don't mind working hard because you love what you're doing? And so shifting that focus to working with intention and purpose and a sense of timing is, to me, the key to breaking free from overachievement and overwhelm and really finding success, meaning walking out what you've been called to do, growing as a person, growing into who the Lord's made you to be, and finding fulfillment in the work that you do, the clients that you serve, beyond those measurable metrics like income and number of clients and so on. There's nothing wrong with those metrics, Jade. The
Right.
problem is that we tend to elevate them and we idolize them, and then we find ourselves empty even when we have material success.
Mm. So should hustling or any job, but should hustling, because we're talking about hustling specifically, should when we're trying to get stuff done like in that way, is it or something that we should do that brings us joy only? Because sometimes, as I said before, people hustle and they don't like it. They just do it to bring extra income,
Sure,
not
sure.
that they like it. So maybe, as I said before, they're really down on themselves and they don't like it, but I'm doing it because I need this. So
Right.
sometimes is there that kind of motive when people are hustling just for a purpose?
Yeah. Yeah. What I find is that sometimes when we feel backed into a corner, we feel stretched for income or for time, we feel like we have to go make it all happen. We have to work harder. Clearly, our bank account is not where we want it to be because we haven't worked hard enough. And I believe that that's a lie, because the feeling of working hard. Your listeners understand that there are worthy things to work hard for.
Yes.
And although you may be working, you're not always joyous. I love what I do as a business coach for high achieving women, but there are things that I have to do that I don't love doing, but
Mm.
it contributes to the broader purpose, the broader joy that I find in my life. And for me, all of this stems from my relationship with Jesus. So
Yes.
the ultimate fulfillment for me is, am I being obedient to what he's given me to do, even in the hard times? Am I willing to continue working with intention and purpose and timing to glorify him? I'm not painting a rosy picture like, well, if you've been working hard and you haven't gotten anywhere, it's okay, it'll come around. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But that we can hustle for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
But when we are working in a place where everything feels connected, where we feel that we're really walking in our gifts and our talents and our skills, that is the place where God meets us and teaches us how to work like Jesus, which is with intention and purpose and a sense of timing.
Right. I love that. I love that. Although you hear sometimes some people say some things that they're doing, they know it's for God, but they don't enjoy doing it.
Well, there are times he does ask us to do things that we don't enjoy.
Yes. Oh, I know that. What role does self-care and well-being playing in a new and improved definition of hustling?
When we talk about redefining hustle being the way that we break the chains of overwhelm and overachievement, we cannot speak of faithful work without speaking of faithful rest. And so to
Mm.
me, so often I see us think of self-care as a spa day. Sometimes self-care is sitting in your office and reading a good book. Sometimes self-care is a nap. Sometimes a self-care, is a trip to a spa. But self-care and well-being are so related to how we start and end our days, how we incorporate rest into our days, how we seek to work at the times of day that we do our best work. I am an early morning person, and I love to start my day with prayer and end my day with prayer and do a lot of creating in the morning, and then have client meetings in the afternoon, because I've learned sort of my work rhythms. And I believe all of that is related to self-care and well-being. The
Nice.
very purpose of redefining hustle is to get us out of a mode of overachievement and burnout. And that alone, by getting out of that mode, breaking free from that, is encouraging well-being.
I love that. And I love how you mentioned that self-care doesn't necessarily mean, going out. It can also be taking a nap or reading a
Yeah.
book.
Yes.
Those things also are defined as self-care.
Yes.
How can we encourage collaboration and community support rather than promoting a competitive and a cutthroat mentality in our approach to success?
This is such a great question. The other day, a friend of mine was struggling through someone reaching out to her and questioning her branding because there was a single word in my friend's branding that was also in this other person's branding. And the word was success. Now,
Hmm.
no one owns that definition, right? No one owns that
Right,
word, but it
right.
brought to mind this spirit of competition and cutthroat mentality, which is scarcity and thinking there's not enough for all of us. If you use the
Mm,
same words as I do, therefore you must be trying to steal my business. Versus if we all know that we are walking in the assignment that God has given us and that there is no lack of clients that we are meant to serve. In fact, if you believe that when you are abiding in the vine and you are aligned to his assignment, that he provides the people that you are meant to work with. And
yes,
therefore, it is collaboration, it's community. So often I refer clients to others who do something maybe not exactly like I do, but they do something that is a particular part of business that I don't address. And I could only do that if I were willing to collaborate, if I were willing for us to be a community of entrepreneurs whose businesses have a mission in the marketplace. If we think of it from that perspective, then we can step away from that cutthroat mentality that quite
yes.
honestly the enemy wants us spiraling in the world.
Hmm. And believe that there's only one pie and only we're supposed to have that pie.
That's
It can't be
correct.
shared.
Right. And that is a lie.
That's a lie, a big lie. Oh, can we define hustling to emphasize ethical practices and sustainable strategies for success?
I absolutely believe that we can. When we are coming to our work from a sense of intention and purpose, we very naturally want to be working with integrity and ethically. And in walking out your journey from that perspective of redefining hustle, it becomes sustainable. Us burning the candle at both ends, burning out, being an overachievement, being a workaholic, that is not sustainable. You may think it's sustainable because you keep doing it, but it is not sustainable in the way that it impacts the other areas of your life. So for me, we need to redefine hustle so that we can work with integrity and ethically, that we can work from a place of care and service, and we can be sustainable in our work because the world needs what we have.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it doesn't need a competition.
right.
How does the concept of hustling align with the idea of pursuing one's passion and purpose in life?
Mm. I believe that we all were made on purpose for a purpose. We were knit
Mm,
together in our mother's womb, and in Ephesians 2:10 we are told that we are not only God's workmanship, but that we have been created for specific works that he has purposed us to do. So for me, this idea of working with intention and purpose is all about aligning how we work with the work that God has predestined us to do. Where I see calling is we are all born with calling. God has given us a calling. And then what he does, to quote an author friend of mine, is he gives us commissions or assignments throughout our life through which that calling is then administered. Our
mm,
passion intersects there. It intersects what we love to do is very much related to how he made us, our temperaments, the skills, the gifts, the talents that he's given us. And therefore, where passion and purpose intersect is really in the assignments that he gives us. And the only way to approach those assignments is to be intentional, to seek his direction, to seek how he defines you and success for you. And then to work and walk with purpose, always seeking his guidance. And those ways allow us to work within our passions even when it's hard, with a sense of calm and peace that draws others in to want to work with us, to want to know us, which then therefore expands our business.
Yes, I agree with you. What I want to also say is that God created everyone with purpose, right? And with the purpose, He gave us passion also.
Mm-mm.
So if it is that we want to put our purpose into work, into what we like, as you know, I say hustling, and we want to use our purpose that God has given us, because sometimes we have to, sometimes we don't know our purpose sometimes, but
True.
we don't know our purpose, and we have to ask Him, God,
Yes.
what is my purpose? Help to lead me and to show me what my purpose is.
Mm.
Sometimes the purpose that He's given us is not always, or the assignment He's given us is not something that we always like.
Correct.
But what we can do is we can infuse our passion
Mm.
in it
Yeah.
to get to a place now where we enjoy doing something for God,
Mm.
and we enjoy it by serving, because you don't want to serve people and you don't want to pour into people and not be happy about doing it, because whatever it is that we present, it also goes out into people. But
Absolutely.
we're to also see it as ministry.
Yes. Yes. You know, I just want to add to that, Jade, because God will give you assignments that you're not happy about, right?
Yes.
And so often we're standing in the middle of that assignment going, how did I get here? This
Yes.
is not where I thought I was supposed to be. But He has placed us there for us to learn, for us to reflect Christ to someone in that space, in that
Yes.
work. And it may not be completely connected to what we think would be our purpose or our joy. But what you just said is so clear. How do we bring passion to that? How do we bring passion for, Lord, I am obedient, show me, even in the midst of work that we don't want to do? I mean, let's
Yes.
face it. Jesus didn't, I mean, yes, for the joy set before Him, He died on a cross, but do you think He wanted to be on the cross?
No, He did not.
No, right? But it's that bigger perspective. And so if you are listening to this and you're in a place right now where you feel like this doesn't align, this is not my passion, I encourage you to spend some time with the Lord and say, Lord, can please clearly show me, what am I to learn here, or who am I to impact here? Because you are the ripple.
Yes.
And the world needs you wherever God has placed you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Important. And in order for Him to use us, we also need to be accepting of it
Yeah,
and be joyous doing it.
that's right.
How can we define hustling to celebrate, or how can we redefine hustling to celebrate small wins, personal progresses, and the journey towards success rather than just the end result?
So often we do define success by that end result, don't we? And what I have learned is that if we are tying our identity, if we are tying success only to the outcome, what happens when the finish line moves? What happens
Nothing.
when the measurement changes? Let's just think for a second about 2020. You know, people were rolling along in some businesses, and then something we could never have predicted, the pandemic hits, and guess what happens? Things shift.
Yes, it
So
did.
so if you tied your identity and your celebrations and your progress only to what you were expecting, and then your plans go awry, then where are you? You're sinking, right? So redefining hustle allows us to step back from those measurements, which, I mean, the math is true and the measurements do measure, right? But it allows us to step back and disconnect ourselves from the outcome in such a way that we can celebrate a small win, which may be, well, that person didn't sign on with me, but they introduced me to this person, or we had a beautiful conversation and now I was able to connect them to someone who can better serve them. Right? It's about, we're able to celebrate our progress, even in things like, wow, that used to make me really angry when someone, or upset or nervous or anxious when someone would say no to me. But now, through the Holy Spirit, I understand that no is part of business and it's not personal. They just don't need my service at this moment, or there's someone else they'd rather work with, or whatever that is. So we can celebrate personal progress all along the journey. I'm a strong believer that you've got to celebrate as you go, because if you only wait until the end and the end doesn't look the way you want, then what do you have left to celebrate? So let's work intentionally and purposefully, and let's be purposeful in celebrating along the way. Don't despise those small beginnings or those small steps, because I have seen time and again in my business and my clients' business where something didn't turn out the way they thought, but it led to something else, and then that was business that they did in the future. So let's redefine hustle and incorporate those celebrations along the way.
I love that. I love how you ended that. That's very timely. I know you deal with in terms of women and helping women with hustling, but I want you to speak to both women and men, especially those who are struggling and don't know their purpose, or who are struggling with their purpose. And people are wondering, I'm doing this hustling and I'm, doing this business, but it's not something I'm happy with. And yes, this is what God has directed me to do, but I'm not happy with that. Can you just leave a word for them so that they can be encouraged?
So the word that I would leave for them is Matthew 11:28-30, which I think we're familiar with. Come to me, all who are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke. My yoke is easy and light, right? If you are in a place where you know that the Lord has led you, but it does not look anywhere related to your purpose or your passion, lay that at his feet and ask him to show you. When you ask in accordance with his will, Lord, I want to understand why you've placed me here or where this is going, and get quiet and listen. He is faithful to hear you. He is faithful to drop an idea in your mind or drop a name in your heart. He's faithful in so many ways to speak to you through that. So I want to encourage you that what my mentor encouraged me almost 10 years ago when I gave my life to Christ, that you were not made to shoulder this by yourself. You were not made to carry the world by yourself. And I would take that concern to him and ask him to show you. Be prepared that his answer may be that you have to stay where you are.
Yes.
But ask him to fill you with his peace and his joy. Let him know, Lord, I am not finding joy. I'm going to need your help with that. And ask for his power to do that in you. And I just would finally say, men or women, the idea of redefining hustle applies to everyone. The reason I serve women is because that's who God gave me to serve. And I believe that we, from our emotional intelligence, that we tend to take on a lot of those definitions of the world and let them seep deep within us in a way that men don't. Men are like, yeah, I'm just going to go hustle.
Right.
But regardless, even if that hustle fuels your adrenaline, ask yourself, can I do this from a place of peace and calm? Can I do this from a place of intention and purpose, so that even while I'm working hard, even while I'm running after, whatever that next goal is, that I'm not defining myself by that, and I'm pursuing it with an eye toward the kingdom impact that he's given you to make, because he made you.
That was good. That was good, Erin. Hi. Okay. I'm hoping our listeners are soaking it in and taking it in, because these are such powerful words. And it's very timely, because a lot of us don't know how to celebrate even the smallest success that we have. Right. Because we're looking at we want the bigger picture. We want, especially social media these days, they can make you compare.
Yes.
And they can make you, say, oh, I'm not as good as, and whatever. So timely word in terms of that. I want you to tell us, where is it that we can find you?
Absolutely. I love to hang out on Instagram. You can find me there at Erin D. Harrigan. So ERINDHARRIGAN. And certainly go to my website, download my 4 keys to redefine hustle. And you can do that at erinharrigan.com/4 keys. And let me know, DM me, let me know how this conversation spoke to you. It's been a joy and an honor to have this conversation with you, Jade.
It has been a joy to have you. Yeah, and you have impacted our lives. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you to our listeners on the Unfiltered by Jade, and we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you.
Bam bam bide, bam bam bide, badu bidi, bam bam bide.